Hello, I'm Dr. David Rosensweet, and you've tuned into I Wonder Doctor Live. And maybe you even tuned in at 1 o'clock when we're supposed to go on, but ooh, technical difficulties. So here we are, and this first segment, and that's where I'm going to begin, really has to do with detoxification and toxicity. Because you may have heard, if you've tuned in to I Wonder Doctor, that when it comes down to it, if you're not feeling well and you have diagnoses, the power that you have is to address the causes. And they always come down to nutrition, and I've mentioned toxicity. Some more, some less. Exercise and how you respond to stress. So we want to zero in on what is toxic and what can I do about it. Well, I want to take out a certain segment today called Your Home. And one of the things that we are sort of invisible to us is there are chemicals that we get exposed to, a universe of them. And any chemical that is not something that's already present in your body is toxic. Yeah, if the molecule is not already present, your body has to handle that molecule. So if it's a carrot, well, the same molecules that are in carrots are in your body. So that's not a toxic. That's not a molecule you have to handle. But if it's something like gasoline, or a million of these chemicals that are out there these days, they're not in our body, and our bodies have got to do something with it. Some of these chemicals are fairly mild, but if they're not us, they are a problem. And some of them are very severely poisonous. So, you know, when I was growing up, we always heard about arsenic, and don't eat any arsenic because it was lethal pretty quickly. Well, these chemicals that I'm talking about, they're a slow go. Now, here's an image that you may want to plug your ears for, because if you picture a frog and you put that frog in boiling water, they're going to pass away really quickly. But if you put them in a water bath that's a little warmer than their body temperature, it's going to take a long time, but little by little, they're going to pass away from that as well. And the analogy there is, if we keep taking in molecules that aren't that problematic to us, we won't notice them. We won't take in what's in a spray can or exhaust fumes and immediately keel over. No, it will be molecule by molecule, and they build up because so many of these things are fat soluble. That means when you take them into your body, you don't just pee them out right away. They dissolve themselves into the fat of their body. And since the brain has a lot of fat, a lot of the cognitive issues is from these toxins accumulating in our brain. Moral of the story, identify and diminish the amount of toxic chemicals that you are exposed to. And before I go there, there's a big difference in individual to individual. Some folks can handle a lot more of these chemicals as they build up year after year after year. And some folks cannot. And they're very sensitive. They're genetically set up that they can't quite process things that their body aren't used to as well as others. And these are our, quote, canaries in the coal mine, because if you have a friend and you're walking into a mall and your friend said, God, I can't stay here, I'm getting a headache. What you want to do as your friend starts to turn around and go the other way is go with them, because what they're telling us is their body is encountering some toxic molecules in the air. There's dry cleaning fluids, there's plastics, there's all kinds of stuff in a mall. And if they're turning around, we should turn around right with them, because we're getting the same exposure and it's going to be a little slower acting on us. Now, where does detoxification begin? Well, the moral of the story is, if you can avoid toxic chemicals or eliminate the ones that you're getting exposed to on a daily basis, that's step number one. There's ways to eliminate them from your body, and another time we will cover that. But that's number one. And where are so many toxic chemicals residing that really matter to you? Wherever you're going. So if you're spending time sleeping in your bedroom, boy, you'd sure want to know what's happening in your bedroom. And if you're spending a lot of time in your house, you'd sure want to know what's friend and what's foe in your house. So let's look at that. because these things have become invisible. And what I'd recommend that you do is you and your kids or you and your spouse or partner go do a roundup of every cleaning chemical and anything that's in a bottle or a can or a box that is in your house, and go put them out on a table or lay them out on the floor somewhere. And the idea is don't have very many of these. Just to cut, because every one of them is a chemical. For example, if you want to remove grease, what does it take to do that? A strong solvent. Well, those strong solvents are toxic to us. And if you're cleaning your counters with some of these products out there and you were to read the label, you're going to see chemical names on there that even I can't interpret anymore. There are so many of them. And if you can't interpret it or you can't read it, it's a high probability it is not good for you. Just to cut to the chase, one way is remove all that inventory to the toxic waste dump and begin from scratch. And what that looks like, and this is where you get to save money. Because if you were to cruise through our condominium, for example, you would see very little things. And what we have is vinegar, distilled vinegar, that clear vinegar, and you can dilute it. And we've got spray bottles, so we put some distilled vinegar in there, and we mix it half and half with water. And oh my goodness, does it do a great job in the kitchen, in the laundry room, in the bathrooms. And even the odor that it leaves is not that unpleasant. It's acetic acid, it is a good solvent, and it's not toxic to you, not like gasoline products or dinosaur products. It's like remove the dinosaur from your home. Now, we also, we don't use sprays or plug-ins to give good odor to the house. We don't use any of that stuff. So what did I mention? Vinegar, what else is there? You can do your toilets, you can do almost everything with it. The other places that can be problematic are the laundry detergents. And the ones to go for, if it says free and clear, and companies are more and more and more responding to this new burgeoning interest in getting healthy. So if you go to the supermarket and you look at the laundry detergent shelf, look for free and clear, and they should advertise no perfumes. And that should be in your toilet tissue as well, because all of those odors, where are they coming from? It's not from the smell of herbs, it's from the smell of toxic chemicals. That's how they get those odors. So laundry detergent, free and clear. If laundry detergent has an odor, a so-called fresh odor, never been fresh to me, displace those, and when you go to buy your next round after you use up what you have, get free and clear. And the same goes if you're using a dishwasher for dishwasher detergent, and the same goes for your hand soaps. If it has an odor to it, these aren't human odors. Human odors are the things we love the best, even though I'm just shocked at how many times I hear that people try and obscure their human odor. I always found them the most fascinating, but we won't go there, or I'm going to hear from my family. But if it has a perfume odor to it, that's a chemical. So that includes soaps, it includes hand soaps in the kitchen. And what does this mean? You're going to get it down to, you've got a few soaps that are free and clear of chemicals and scents, and you're going to use vinegar to do most cleaning things. You can even use baking soda as a scrubber. And my favorite scrubby is my supermarket, my wonderful local supermarket, has these steel things. I'm not talking about steel wool, what they call steel wool. I'm very suspicious of that stuff, and especially the blue colors that come out of it when you expose it to water. No, this is a plain steel, like crumble thing, and gosh, it lasts so long, and it really scours those pans really beautiful. What does this all come down to once again? It's going to save you money, and it's going to help your health. Discover what's not beneficial in your home and get rid of it. All right, I'd like to turn to questions, and if you have any question, call 888-502-8886. We are going to have a little bit of a shorter show so we can pick up on our second segment of I Wonder Doctor, as we had some technical difficulties. And I would so like to thank our wonderful crew. They're so patient and peaceful during what ordinarily could be, wow, what's happening here? Here's a question from Carmen on Long Island. I have chronic fatigue. I'm always tired, no matter what I do. I don't mean sort of tired, I mean I can barely get out of bed. How do I know if toxic exposure is part of my problem? Well, chronic fatigue is sort of a total overall diagnosis of the symptom, which is chronic fatigue. And when we zero in on any individual patient who has chronic fatigue, there is a multitude of causes. The most important thing is, no matter how much you can learn on the internet, I would highly recommend a health professional, a physician or a nurse practitioner who has gone on to really treasure the knowledge base that's in functional medicine or holistic medicine or complementary medicine, because, oh my goodness, this is one of the main focuses of interest in these particular professionals, and there's a lot to it, because there's a lot of different things that you could have at the cause of what's going on. And is toxicity a part of it? Sometimes zero, sometimes small, sometimes medium, sometimes large. So what a functional medicine, I like to call them detectives, will do is, through the multitude of questions they're going to ask you, often on questionnaires, and through their physical exam, is they're going to be looking for clues. And they're going to be trying to assess things like, is toxicity part of it? And if they do, and they think that's a priority or one of your first priorities, they're going to help you detoxify. Now here's a couple simple things. If, for example, as I mentioned in our opening segment, that if you walk into a mall and you start getting a headache, or you really can't stand the odors, or someone with perfume, you're at a party and you encounter someone with perfume odors and it's starting to give you a headache, or it's really wanting you to back away, or cigarette smoke, or any fumes in your environment, if you're really troubled by those, the usual reason is your body is giving you a strong signal to back off and stay away, because those things are toxic to you. And because they're chemicals, and usually what we track that down to is, is your liver needing some help in processing chemicals? Well, the very first thing you do is you clear your house and in your car and any toxic, your workplace and any toxic exposures you have, and then a professional, or you can even learn some things on the internet on how to detoxify and help your liver out. So you walk into a mall and you're having trouble with those chemicals, or someone's got perfume, or someone's smoking, your body's giving you a strong signal that it can't handle those chemicals. In fact, if you get a headache, there's the living biochemical proof that you can't handle it. So it is an issue. If you don't have any trouble with those kind of exposures to different odors and stuff, that doesn't mean you're free and clear, because there's some silent odors in there. Like, for example, mold. Oh my goodness. Mold. We live on Earth with mold. There's mold everywhere. There's mold in the air. If they tested the air in your home, they tested the air outside your home, they're going to find mold spores. But some people have a genetic difficulty in handling some of the chemical off-gassing of the mold. Off-gassing? Well, we're off-gassing. I mean, when we're exhaling, we're off-gassing carbon dioxide, and the whole plant kingdom is off-gassing. And the question is are they off-gassing chemicals? And mold is, and it's a big story. And you know, I would like to pick this subject up at another time, because we had technical difficulties, and it's going to make today's I Wonder Doctor about the body and health issues. We're going to wait, we're going to spend it till next week. Email in your questions to I Wonder Doctor, go to the website if you have questions for us, and we answer the questions that you call in or email in. And I'm Dr. David Rosensweet, and as always, it is a pleasure and an honor to be with you.